Today, we're going to break down a business war that was fought in millions of kitchens. It's an awesome story about how one brand, YiPPee, dared to take on a giant that seemed completely untouchable, Maggi, by basically rethinking the entire product from the ground up. So picture this, it's 2010. The instant noodle market in India, well, it wasn't just dominated by one brand. For all intents and purposes, it was a monopoly. Maggi held a staggering 70% market share. They were the market. And that's the big question, right? When a single brand basically is the product category in everyone's mind, where do you even start? This was the massive, massive challenge that ITC was looking at when they decided to launch their own noodle brand, YiPPee. Now, before we get to the challenger, you gotta understand the champion. Maggi wasn't just a product, it was like a cultural institution. It had this deep emotional connection, woven into the childhood memories of generations. That brand loyalty was a fortress. YiPPee knew right away that just making another version of Maggi, a Me Too product, wasn't gonna cut it. To even have a chance, they had to be fundamentally better. So where did they start? Not with some huge, flashy ad campaign. Nope. They started by listening to the small, everyday complaints that real noodle lovers had. And what they found was, well, it was super simple, but really powerful. Turns out, people had two common frustrations. One, their noodles would often get sticky and lumpy after cooking, and two, that rectangular noodle block was always awkward to fit into a round pan, so you'd have to break it. YiPPee's entire strategy started right there, by engineering a direct solution, a non-sticky noodle formula, and a noodle block that was round. And they took that bit of product engineering and turned it directly into their marketing. This simple phrase became YiPPee's battle cry. It wasn't just a catchy slogan. It was a promise that directly targeted the specific weaknesses of the king. Every single word was a strategic shot. Okay, so they had a product designed to fix those little annoyances. Next, they built this comprehensive battle plan to actually get it into people's homes. What they came up with was this awesome 4-point playbook designed to win over consumers one bowl at a time. First up, the product itself. See, fixing the whole sticky noodle thing was a great hook to get people's attention, but that alone wasn't going to build a brand that people loved. So their strategy became all about constant innovation, using variety to keep customers curious and giving them new reasons to choose YiPPee. And wow, did they deliver on that idea of variety. They started rolling out this whole universe of options, magic masala, classic masala, something called mood masala that had 2 different taste sachets inside. They even launched a super affordable 10 rupee pack, a pasta range, and ready-to-eat bowls. The insight was clear. Variety stops people from getting bored, and it helps build a real brand. All right, second point, pricing. Their strategy here was super simple. Just get people to try it. They priced YiPPee to be competitive, sure, but the real genius was using those low-cost packs to remove any hesitation for that first-time buy. They made it a really easy, super low-risk decision for anyone standing in the store aisle. Number 3, and honestly, this might be the most important part of the entire story. Distribution. You can have the best product in the world, right? But if people can't find it on the shelf, it just doesn't matter. And this is where YiPPee had a secret weapon, a massive built-in advantage. So YiPPee's parent company, ITC, they're this absolute giant in Indian consumer goods. And their distribution network, it's the stuff of legends. They used this incredible system to put YiPPee everywhere, from the tiniest neighborhood stores in rural villages to the biggest supermarkets in the cities, and they did it practically overnight. This reach wasn't just an advantage, it was their secret weapon. And that brings us to the fourth and final piece of the playbook, promotion. So how did they get the word out about all this great stuff? Well, they came up with a really clever dual targeting approach. This whole strategy was just perfectly captured in this one tagline, "Tummy's happy and mom's happy too." It worked on 2 levels, which was brilliant. It spoke directly to the kids, the ones actually eating the noodles, with the promise of great taste. But at the same time, it reassured moms, the ones actually buying it, with this emotional promise of happiness and quality. It was just a masterclass in family marketing. So YiPPee is executing this playbook, right? They're slowly but surely gaining ground, building a really solid base. And that foundation was about to become absolutely critical, because in 2015, something happened that nobody saw coming. A huge crisis for the king, which became the opportunity of a lifetime for the challenger who was ready. So, bam, mid-2015, Maggi gets hit with this nationwide ban over food safety concerns. Overnight, the shelves are empty. YiPPee didn't just see an opening, they kicked the door down. They immediately cranked up their advertising, positioning themselves as the safe, reliable choice. Millions of loyal Maggi customers were suddenly looking for something else. And guess who was there on every single shelf, ready and waiting? YiPPee. So, when the dust finally settled and Maggi eventually came back to the market, what was the real lasting impact? What does the new noodle landscape even look like? And what can we really learn from this incredible story? Well, the result was nothing short of a permanent shift in the market. I mean, look at this. Maggi did manage to get back its top spot, but it never ever got that 70% monopoly back. YiPPee successfully carved out a huge 22% slice of the pie for itself and held on to it. They didn't just have a good quarter, they built a permanent home in the market. So when you boil it all down, the YiPPee story basically hands us a rulebook for any challenger brand. First, don't go head-to-head with the market leader. Find the little gaps, the small annoyances they've overlooked. Second, real, tangible product innovation, like a round noodle cake, is your most powerful weapon. Third, distribution is non-negotiable. An unfair advantage like ITC's network can be the thing that wins the war. And finally, it's a huge reminder that a competitor's crisis can be your biggest opportunity, if you're ready for it. YiPPee proved that even the biggest, most loved monopoly isn't invincible. A smarter strategy, a better product, and being ready to jump on an opportunity can change everything. It's a powerful lesson for any business, and it kind of leaves you wondering, which industry's giant is next to face a challenger who's done their homework?